James and Claire had been married for nearly a decade, their lives seemingly idyllic. They shared a cozy suburban home and had a 7-year-old daughter, Lily, who was the light of their lives. However, beneath the surface of their relationship, cracks had begun to form, ones they both chose to ignore. Claire's long hours at work and James's growing sense of dissatisfaction created a chasm between them. Claire's mother, Evelyn, had always been a part of their lives. She was elegant, charismatic, and despite her age, effortlessly captivating. After Claire's father passed away, Evelyn often visited, helping out with Lily and offering companionship to the family. Her visits had become more frequent in recent months, as Claire's job required her to travel more often. One evening, as Claire was away on a business trip, Evelyn stayed over to look after Lily. After putting Lily to bed, she and James ended up sharing a bottle of wine in the living room. They reminisced about old memories, laughed at stories about Claire's childhood, and found themselves growing unusually comfortable in each other's company. The harmless conversation soon turned into flirtation. Evelyn complimented James on how well he was managing things in Claire's absence, while James, perhaps driven by the attention he'd been missing in his marriage, found himself responding in kind. As the night wore on, the boundaries blurred. What began as a fleeting moment of attraction spiraled into something neither of them anticipated or could stop. The next morning, guilt hung heavily in the air. James avoided Evelyn's gaze, while she tried to carry on as though nothing had happened. But the secret they now shared was too potent to ignore. Each time Evelyn came over, there was a lingering tension between them, a dangerous dance that they knew could destroy their family if discovered. Months passed, and James wrestled with his conscience. He began distancing himself from both Claire and Evelyn, hoping to suppress the guilt that threatened to consume him. Yet, the weight of his betrayal grew heavier with each passing day. Evelyn, too, felt the strain. She loved her daughter and adored her granddaughter, but couldn't deny the growing rift in the family that she herself had helped create. Eventually, Claire noticed the changes. James seemed distant. Evelyn seemed distracted, and the warmth they once shared as a family had faded. Her instincts told her something was amiss, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The truth, as it often does, surfaced in an unexpected way. One evening, while going through James's phone to check on a delivery, Claire stumbled upon an exchange of messages between him and her mother. The cryptic but unmistakable tone of the conversation shattered her world. Confrontation was inevitable. When she confronted James and Evelyn, their stunned silence confirmed her worst fears. The betrayal cut deeper than she imagined, not just from her husband, but from the woman she trusted most in the world. The fallout was catastrophic. Claire ended her marriage and severed ties with Evelyn, determined to rebuild her life for Lily's sake. Though the path ahead was uncertain, Claire resolved to find strength in the lessons learned and protect her daughter from the shadow of betrayal that had consumed their family. Claire packed James's belongings the very night she discovered the betrayal. Her hands trembled as she shoved his clothes into suitcases, her tears falling silently. She didn't want Lily to see her break, but the weight of what she had uncovered was unbearable. James begged for a chance to explain, his voice cracking with desperation. But Claire's resolve was unyielding. She had given him her trust, her love, and her loyalty, only to be repaid with deceit. Evelyn, on the other hand, was frozen in shame. She tried to speak, to apologize, but the words felt hollow even to her. Claire's fury was relentless. "You're my mother. How could you do this to me?" "To Lily," she spat, her voice shaking with a mixture of grief and rage. Evelyn could only hang her head, the weight of her choices suffocating her. James left the house that night, unsure of where to go. He tried calling friends, but the thought of explaining his actions made him feel sick. Meanwhile, Claire sat alone in the living room, staring at the photographs on the mantel, images of what she thought was a happy family, now tainted by lies. The next few weeks were a blur. Claire filed for divorce and sought therapy to process the betrayal. Lily, Sensing the tension, asked questions Claire wasn't ready to answer. "Why isn't Daddy here?" Lily asked one evening. Claire crouched to her daughter's level, her voice soft but firm. "Daddy made some choices that hurt our family, sweetheart. But I promise you, we're going to be okay." Evelyn attempted to reach out multiple times, sending letters and leaving voicemails, but Claire ignored them all. She couldn't bear to see her mother, let alone forgive her. The betrayal wasn't just about the infidelity. It was about the irreparable damage to their bond. Evelyn had always been her confidant, her rock. Now, she was a stranger. James spiraled in the aftermath. He moved into a small apartment and tried to focus on work, but his guilt consumed him. He reached out to Claire, pleading for forgiveness, but she refused to entertain his calls. For her, there was no repairing what he had done. Months turned into years. Claire gradually began to heal, channeling her energy into her career and raising Lily. She built a new support system of friends and colleagues who lifted her up when she felt weak. Slowly, she learned to trust again. Evelyn, however, remained an outcast in Claire's life. Though she tried to atone, Claire couldn't bring herself to let her mother back in. Evelyn lived with the consequences of her actions, isolated and regretful, longing for a relationship with her daughter and granddaughter, but knowing it might never come. James remained a part of Lily's life, but his relationship with Claire was reduced to terse exchanges during custody handoffs. He often wondered what might have been if he had made different choices, but he knew there was no undoing the damage. For Claire, life moved forward. The pain of betrayal never truly left her, but it no longer defined her. She found strength in herself and her love for Lily, determined to show her daughter that even in the face of heartbreak, resilience and self-respect could prevail.